key player in the development of corporate governance framework in Pakistan has been the Securities Exchange Commission of Pakistan. The Code of Corporate Governance was issued in 2002, and since then the Securities Exchange Commission of Pakistan has been actively involved in development of corporate governance framework in Pakistan. A recent initiative of the Securities Exchange Commission has been the UNDP-sponsored Pakistan Institute of Corporate Governance established in Karachi.
The Code of Corporate Governance envisaged a corporate culture based on transparency and accountability, and you would appreciate that SECP has been leading the corporate governance reform process in Pakistan. But to create the paradigm shift in the way companies are managed and they are governed in line with best practices would require the contribution of all concerned, including the companies themselves, their directors, management, sponsors, professional bodies, for instance. And in this regard, we have yet to achieve the desired result. But I would say that elaborating on the SECP's role, various initiatives have already been undertaken, including seminars and workshops across the country and publication of guidance booklets. One major achievement has been the establishment of the Pakistan Institute of Corporate Governance in Public and Private Sector Partnership, which is aimed at developing training and education initiatives on corporate governance for the directors and other stakeholders. So the idea is to create an enabling environment for effective implementation of Code of Corporate Governance. To come back to your question, I would say that SECP and other stakeholders are on the right track of enforcing the corporate governance reform process, and with the increasing support of corporate sector, the government and the professional bodies, it is hoped that we would at the end of the day achieve the desired governance framework.
I believe SECP has been working very seriously on this. They have been negotiating with all the stakeholders. They have understanding that cultures don't change in 1 or 2 or 3 years. Cultures evolve over a long period of time and they change over a period of time. But I believe in Pakistan, all the major players, whether they are government officials and regulatory bodies, SECP being one of them, or whether they are industrialists, major players in the stock exchange, state banks themselves, training institutions, training bodies in accounting and other professions, they all are now very actively interested, and they realize that it is very desirable, in fact essential for all of us. If we want to modernize, if we want to grow economically, we have to behave in a way which is sound and transparent. And this is what the corporate code is all about. And I think SEC and all of us have to work together slowly to move in that direction. And one thing I would like to say is that many of the institutions that I've been talking about have gotten together to form Pakistan Institute of Corporate Governance, and the purpose of that is to provide training and facilitate for directors and other senior officers of companies on how to behave in a way where the companies can work in a transparent manner and can grow in the best possible manner, in the strongest, fastest way they can grow. Corporate governance codes are very important for companies' own welfare and future happiness.
Knowing the importance of the business community, how do we ensure their continuing success? Well, we do that by having a set of principles, a set of governance principles, commonly known as a Code of Corporate Governance, which ensures that companies are managed, if you like, according to best practices. And these best practices essentially mean that companies are able to not only make profits but continue to be the best at what they do. We know of many profitable companies which have really wound up. If you look at Enron and you look at WorldCom, several years back, these were profitable companies, but they no longer exist. And as a result of that, people have lost jobs, people have lost livelihoods, the economy has suffered as a result. In order to ensure that doesn't happen, we have to look at what good companies are doing, what those companies who are governed well. We need to replicate those forms of frameworks.
A number of other institutions have also been working on the development of corporate governance framework in Pakistan. The noteworthy ones are the Association of Chartered Certified Accountants, ACCA, and the National Investment Trust.
After the implementation of Code of Corporate Governance, things have improved to a large extent. What has happened that people are more disciplined, the companies now understand that papers have to be made, working papers have to be circulated, agenda has to be formed, agenda has to be circulated. Then again, various other things which was never done are now done things, and I would say that yes, except few companies which I don't know, but I have knowledge that they don't want to do all these things, but they make the papers only. But otherwise I have seen that people have generally improved their.
I think there has been a positive impact of the Code of Corporate Governance on the way directors now understand and discharge their responsibilities towards the company and its stakeholders. In fact, I would like to quote from an impact study carried out by the SCCP on implementation of the code, and the study found out that there has been a marked improvement in the way directors now understand their duties, and they are more cognizant of their responsibilities. In particular, the board meetings now involve more focused discussion of issues facing the company. The role of non-executive directors has taken roots. Audit committees are now a norm in most of the companies, and they have become more independent and assertive. So these are all very positive contributions of the code. Moving on, NIT has been a key player, as in through their nominee directors, they have been reinforcing corporate governance requirements at the board level. I would say that the good work that NIT has been doing must continue even after its privatization. In fact, all institutional investors, be it NIT, be it any other investor, must, through its representation on boards of companies, bring about a positive influence on the governance requirements and the governance practices of those companies. And through these concerted efforts, I'm sure that we would help the corporate governance cause in a big way.
The Code of Corporate Governance is obviously designed to encourage certain corporate governance practices, and the principal aim of those practices is to increase transparency of decision making, remove conflict of interest, and therefore safeguard the interests of all stakeholders, including particularly the shareholders who have invested in the company. By doing that, it makes investing in corporations and the general investment environment much more conducive, much more attractive, and leads to, over the long run, better economic activity. What is also happening in the country now that we are trying to attract funds, portfolio investment from abroad, and a lot of these portfolio investors are looking for quality corporate governance standards before they invest in a company, and thereby by forcing Pakistani companies to benchmark themselves with the best global practices in corporate governance, they're actually making it easier for those companies to be able to attract these foreign funds as well. As far as NIT privatization is concerned, obviously it would depend upon who the new buyer is and what the value systems and what the governance standards are, so it's difficult to speculate at this point in time exactly what the impact will be.